The amateur NBA analyst.
The amateur NBA analyst, the anonymous
Secretly
amateur.
Brian Windhorse.
We all know it's him. I mean, who else could take up that much space on Twitter?
Wow.
We're giving you our free agency breakdowns. Who we think needs to go to what team, what we think the team's biggest needs are, and I mean that's about it. Yeah. Other people do it. If you know basketball talk, you know what we're doing. Let's just jump right into it. We're starting with the East.
Yeah.
We're gonna start with the Hawks.
Corby's team.
Let's
hear it. Who do you want the Hawks to sign?
We don't have money. I don't think there's like one position we really need. I want toughness. I want Jay Crowder. There's no one tough. Yeah. John Collins, and it speaks a lot when John Collins was our toughest guy, and we just traded him for Rudy Gay. Jay Crowder, I don't want him playing minutes. I just want him on the bench, just having a good time. I think he might be from Georgia. I'm not too sure, but just yeah.
Do you think Jalen Johnson gets that full-time power forward role moving forward?
I hope. I saw Trey and Jalen Johnson playing tennis on Instagram. Hope it means something. Hey, I mean,
yeah. But I have a way for you to solve two issues with one move, right? I think you guys can sign Grant Williams. I think you can get Grant Williams. And I don't think you guys have to go into the luxury tax, because I think you guys have a guy sitting on your roster who's not a benefit to your team, who has the lowest VORP of any player on your team, who is supposedly a lockdown defender, but has the second lowest defensive rating of anyone on the team. And that man is DeAndre Hunter, making $20 million a year. It's time to trade DeAndre Hunter. I think he's been given his opportunity. I don't think he is worth the amount of money that they're paying him, and he doesn't fit the need for the team. I think Jalen Johnson can service the small forward role just fine, and I think if you guys trade him, you can open up cap space to go get Grant Williams, or maybe even Xavier Tillman, or someone who costs a little bit less money, who fills the power forward need for you guys.
I can see it because Hunter is being shopped right now, even after the Collins trade, and I guess I think Hunter. He's gone through so many injuries. I just hope year 5 is his year. He hasn't even, like, people slander him a lot for his contract, but he hasn't even gotten any money from his new contract. It's all been rookie deal. I can see it. I like Grant Williams and how tough he is, and he's a better shooter, just catch and shoot wise, than Hunter, and we have enough creation off the bench. Yeah, I wouldn't hate it at all. He would be the 4, and then Jalen Johnson would either play the 3 or be off the bench. Yeah, it's a decent fit.
Yeah.
I like the Jay Crowder pick Corby had. I also put Kevin Love in there, just to give you guys another bench player that can give you serviceable minutes.
Yeah, he's a bet. I just want to bet, honestly.
I mean, yeah, you get a bet. You don't expect Kevin Love to start, give you a couple good minutes at the 4. I think you guys just need another big body on that team, and it's not really that big of a signing you're making, so just Kevin Love or Jay Crowder for me. Yeah.
I mean, Kevin Love's fine. He just doesn't really address any of their issues.
I mean, he can stretch the floor at the 4.
We had. It was Lou Williams, and he dropped 30 into Game 5.
I feel like
in the Eastern Conference Finals, we need a bet.
A big problem with the Hawks was when they kicked out the John Collins and he couldn't shoot. And I feel like Kevin Love's just might hit a couple more shots than John Collins, and that's really all they need. Maybe he might not even he played 10 minutes a game. That's all you really need from him.
I mean, that's fair, but they need defense and rebounding, and Kevin Love at this stage in his career doesn't provide either of those.
I suppose, but
yeah, I don't really.
Yeah,
Kevin Love would be cool just because we kind of need a backup 4, unless you think Sadiq Bey is a 4. But
I think of him more as a 3. He's not really that big enough to play
Kevin
the
Love?
4. No, Sadiq Bey.
Oh,
Sadiq.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right. The next team is the Boston Celtics.
The Boston Celtics.
Where do they go from here? Where do they go, Cam?
Where do they go? They just traded Marcus Smart, so I think their first move in free agency should be trying to find a pseudo replacement for him. Mm-hmm. I mean, I just want to go on a minute tangent here. I don't understand the Porzingis trade. I really don't. I understand it's a technical upgrade from player to player, but I mean, you're trading a more valuable player to your team to get a less valuable player to your team. Because what does Porzingis provide to the team? He provides stretch shooting, which Al Horford already does at a really high rate. Defensively, he's a good rim protector, but you already have Robert Williams, and Al Horford is shown that he can hold his own inside.
Yeah, but a whole nother year, he's already 38. I think Porzingis is a combination of... Actually, I'm not going to say a combination of Rob Williams and Al Horford, but I think he's good inside. They don't really have anyone who could do anything inside because, Time Lord's just a lob threat and Al Horford's just a stretch. They kind of get a combination of both, and also... I think, do you think Marcus Smart's that valuable because of his leadership to the team and all that?
I think he is, because if you look at the Celtics as a whole, don't you remember that report that came out about how the Celtics were essentially tired of pretending that they liked each other? You don't think having a guy like Marcus Smart in the locker room was helping that team to stay together through the playoffs and through the turmoil?
Well, apparently not. It didn't help them.
What do you mean? They went to 7 games in the Eastern Conference Finals. Whatever you want to say, they were a game away from going to. I mean, you can say whatever you like. The 8 seed also beat the 1 seed Bucks.
No, I'm not discrediting the 8 seed. I just think you shouldn't have to rely on Marcus Smart to be your leader. I think Marcus Smart being out of the Celtics actually helps the Celtics get leadership from Tatum and Brown. Now they don't have to rely on Marcus Smart to be it.
That's fine. And I guess Derek Brown can be, or Derek
White.
Holy shit!
Derek White.
Sorry, Brown, White, whatever. Derek White can still be a good point of attack defender. I mean, he's shown that he can do that really well. Yeah. I don't know. It feels like such an integral part of the team to trade away, and maybe that's just because Marcus Smart has been with the Celtics for the last 9 years, and it feels really odd to see him not on the Celtics. But anyway, for me, I feel like the first thing they need to go out and do is find a pseudo replacement. And I think Pat Bev is a great fit for that team. You know, come off the bench, provide energy at the point of attack. Brogdon isn't a great defender off the bench. I mean, he's good, but he's more out there to be a playmaker. So I think you put Pat Bev off the bench, it just gives you an extra kick in your second unit.
Yeah, I like the fit. I just think they have to pay him. I'm not exactly sure what their salary is at, but I think Pat Bev wants like $15 million, which might sound like a lot. Okay, but that's what he said.
I don't know. What Pat Bev wants and what Pat Bev is going to get are two totally different things.
Especially with the new CBA.
Yeah,
that'll get 15.
I mean, hey, I want $15 million too. Am I going to get it?
Yeah. I had the Celtics going a different direction. I think the NBA is transitioning into a place where you don't really need positions anymore. It's just really who handles the ball on that team, and that's going to be Tatum. So I went with them trying to go after more wings with Torrey Craig as a viable option for them. I think if they can get Torrey Craig, that expands their defense a big amount. And if they can't even get Torrey Craig, I think a guy like Joe Ingles on a minimum could be helpful for them. And I know Joe Ingles isn't a good player necessarily anymore, but I think he could provide valuable minutes eventually if someone gets hurt as like a 10th or 11th man. So it's just like, what are the Celtics going to do really?
I see it. I mean, honestly, there's not much they can really do in free agency. It's just, is the roster you have right now good enough to win a championship? Mm-hmm. Which it is. They just have to do it.
I think Torrey Craig helps a lot, but I gave Joe Ingles as like a secondary option.
And I just said re-sign Grant Williams. Who, like, he kind of is the same kind of player as Torrey Craig, and I think they have bird rights on him, and it's just, I know people hate Grant Williams. I love Grant Williams just because, like, dude, he took a foot to the face from Embiid, like a stomp to the face from Embiid, and he just kept fighting, and that's one of the reasons that they came back down 2-3 in the Eastern Conference Finals. I love his tenacity, and just they don't have that much money anyway. You might as well just re-sign Grant Williams to what he wants, keep morale up. I feel like I don't think he was a locker room problem. I would think if anything, and this is a different topic, but Smart could have contributed more to it than any kind of Grant Williams would have. But next team,
the next team is the Brooklyn Nets. I have one of their biggest issues being their big man depth and the rebounding issues on that team. So I have them trying to get a backup big with players like Dwight Powell. Maybe they can snag him up. He's a good rebounder. If they don't even like Dwight Powell, maybe they go for a more offensive option since Claxton's a really defensive center. They will get Thomas Bryant. Or Mo Bamba just got waived. Maybe they can go get Mo Bamba. One of those 3 guys could be pretty good off the bench for them. So I'm with one of those 3 bigs. They should go try and get one of them.
Yeah. I mean, I think their biggest priority in free agency is to re-sign Cam Johnson.
I mean, for sure.
I think that's their number one priority. But in terms of bigs, I'm surprised you didn't name one guy who, I mean, we love to talk about him jokingly or not. Andre Drummond is sitting right there in free agency.
He opted in.
Did he opt in?
Yeah,
okay, I didn't see that. So
that's kind of crazy. I'm not gonna lie.
God, they just $3 million going left and right.
Like, as of last night, it was like confirmed him being a Maverick, but I guess he opted in. I don't know. Maybe there's a trade coming in Chicago that we don't know about.
Maybe. I mean,
I just don't get the whole. Maybe
I don't get Vucevic, Drummond.
I don't get Vucevic at all. I don't think Vucevic is worth $20 million.
I mean, he signed on a really cost-effective deal. So like he's only getting paid $20 million. He's $20 million
for a guy who can shoot the 3 a little bit, but he can't defend. He can't protect the paint.
He's the 10th highest paid center in the league. Is he not?
He's not.
He's not close to 10.
I think $20 million last year is equivalent to like, and this might sound crazy, but it might be like 17 this year for the sole reason that the CBA, like everyone's gonna get paid less. That's free agency, in my opinion. Which is why actually they could get Pat Bev, the Celtics, just going back. Yeah, I don't know. I just had Cam Johnson because you traded Kevin Durant for him. You cannot have
You can't let him walk.
2 months of Cam Johnson let him walk. Even if you have to overpay him, what are the Nets going to do with their money anyway? So,
Yeah. So you guys both had Cam Johnson?
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Charlotte Hornets. I think the Charlotte Hornets, what they need is a glorified sixth man that can come off the bench and get them buckets, because their bench is very, very lackluster. I mean, their starting five this year, it could be decent. It could be like a 10 seed playing team. What is it? LaMelo, Brandon Miller,
Probably Miles Bridges.
I have Miles Bridges as the guy they should get, but obviously that's not really like who I'm going to say. I think they should go get Karis LeVert or Christian Wood. One of those two guys. They can go get you buckets, and that's really what you need.
Yeah. My opinion on the Hornets is Rozier is a sixth man. So you need a starting shooting guard who's not as good as Rozier, but he's going to fit better. Josh Richardson is in free agency. I think it'd be a perfect fit.
Yeah.
He's a good defender. He'll play, and hopefully you can make maybe the play in. Honestly, the way it's looking, and we'll do prediction videos in a couple of months, but they won't be a play-in team, but you got to at least push for the first like 40, 50 games of the season, and Jay Rich is going to help you do that.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with Corby 100%. I think Terry Rozier is the sixth man that you're talking about, and I think they should move him to that bench role. I know he doesn't want to be on the bench, but I mean, at some point you got to do what you got to do.
You have to do.
What I think they really need is, well, a new trainer for LaMelo so he stops getting hurt, but
He needs to get off Puma, bro.
I mean,
Money
sometimes,
talks, though. Money talks.
sometimes
Money
these
talks.
injuries, you got to be honest with yourself. It's because the team's bad and the players are like, is it really worth?
LaMelo did get
worth it
rushed
for me?
back from his first couple injuries.
He did,
I will
and I
say.
think they were probably real careful with him this
Yeah.
time around. But anyway, I think what they really need for him to take his next step as a playmaker is more catch and shoot players around him. Because you think about what he's had in his career, he hasn't really had a bunch of
he's
elite
had it.
catch and shoot guys. I mean,
PJ Washington, Kelly Oubre, Terry Rozier.
they're okay.
They're all good shooters.
But I watched Kelly Oubre play for a whole year. The man just wants to catch the ball, do some bullshit move, and like he's not going to sit there and play his role, right? But I think a guy like, if you're going to take Terry Rozier out of the starting lineup, which I think you should, I think a guy like Max Strus fits perfectly into what the Hornets want to do.
signing,
That is, yeah.
I mean, and he's not going to be cheap coming off of being a starter on a finals team, but I think with the money that they have, it's not a crazy signing to make.
Yeah.
So next is the Bulls.
Did you not say anyone, Corby?
That's a Jay Rich.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you did. Oh yeah, the Bulls. The Bulls. Where do you go from? I feel like the Bulls are stuck in a purgatory that the Wizards were stuck in, and they just got to accept that. But let's have fun this offseason. Fuck it, bro. Go get Derrick Rose.
Okay, I should have said that.
Go
I'm not
have
gonna lie, I should
go
have
have fun. All right, you know what? You're gonna be like. I think they accept the fact that they're gonna be a losing team this next year. Maybe DeRozan's getting traded this offseason. We don't know. Maybe Levine's gone this offseason. We don't know. Go bring the hometown kid back. Get Derrick Rose. If you don't want to go with Derrick Rose, maybe you go at Gabe Vincent or another point guard like that. They need a point guard desperately.
Yeah, I could see it.
So I just had a fun little pick there with Derrick Rose. Go get your guy.
I mean, I like Caruso starting because of Levine and DeRozan just being. It's crazy that a team with DeRozan, Levine, and Vucevic is so bad on offense. So I just had them getting a shooter off the bench that because they got Vucevic, they're over the luxury cap, I think, or maybe not luxury, just the salary cap. I just had them getting Yuta Watanabe just because he's a shooter. They have no shooters on their team.
Yeah.
The closest thing is, Levine is a shooter, but besides Levine, a little bit of Vucevic,
I mean,
no one else.
Kobe White can shoot.
Oh, he's a free agent, so we'll see.
Yeah. So I personally think they need to make a decision between Io and Kobe White.
I think Kobe White's restricted this offseason, is he not?
He might be. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's a restricted free agent.
Personally,
I wouldn't be surprised if they let him see if they let him walk.
I wouldn't be surprised either.
Yeah.
But I feel like Kobe White's a better fit. Not a better fit. He's better for what the team needs than Io. But Io just seems like the better player.
But they could get both. Like, how much are you paying?
Here's the
how
thing.
much is a different team paying Io?
It's not just about the money. It's about how many minutes are you actually going to be able to give those guys feasibly next to each other. For me, I think they need to go get Pat Bev back because if you look at their record after they traded for him, they were significantly better. It created an obvious culture. And for whatever you want to say about
how good
Pat
is that team? I think the Bulls just realized it this year and they go full rebuild.
You could, but you got to remember this was a team that was 5 minutes away from making the playoffs. Granted, they were going to lose in the first round of the Bucks. I don't think that.
But do you want to be that team? Do you want to be that team that's barely making the playoffs? I get the Heat was like an exception because they have Jimmy Butler. Anything could happen.
Well, we can say that easily from our outside perspective as fans, where it's like an all or nothing thing. But for owners, for fan bases, wouldn't you rather make the playoffs and try to be a competitive team than just tank? I mean, tanking isn't fun, regardless of what it might result in.
This is not the year to tank. And I mean, like, there's really no top prospect.
Justin Edwards.
Justin
Kentucky legend.
Edwards. Okay, they have
there could always be a guy. There could always be a guy that comes out of this draft and
You never know,
surprises
but
people.
I think even if they don't fully tank, I think this is the last year they have with that core.
I think so too, but I think you might as well give it your best shot. And if you can get Derrick Rose on a vet minimum, then
I think it's a good deal.
Why
for
not?
Derrick
But
Rose,
I
yeah.
think Pat Bev should be
That-
their
yeah,
priority.
that's a good deal. All right, next team we have is the Cleveland Cavaliers. Windhorst said there might be some crazy shit going on with them, and from what I've seen, maybe Garland's getting shopped. Jared Allen, Evan Mobley.
You see Garland and Donovan Mitchell tweeted about it, just
I
like
know,
laughing
yeah,
at it.
I know,
So
but-
I don't think it'll happen after that.
You never know, bro. I trust Windhorst at this point. But
You mean
Yeah.
the anonymous
the
NBA
slop
insider?
god, the anonymous NBA, and yeah,
Amateur
NBA. But I think the Cleveland Cavaliers' biggest issue is that small forward position, without any question. So if they can go get a guy like Harrison Barnes, I think that plugs in really well. And even if they can maybe go with a little cheaper option on the MLE, they can get Cam Reddish at the 3. I think those are 2 really good guys they can target in free agency.
I like Cam Reddish a lot.
Yeah.
Harrison Barnes is one for me that are you really getting the bang for your buck when you because Harrison Barnes is a guy you're going to have to pay 15 to 17 million.
I can see 15, and
I
yeah,
can see
they're
15.
not paying him 15. I
And,
don't think the Cavs
like,
are.
but you kind of have to for his production, but also like for what he commands as a player, a 6'7" forward who can defend well enough, who's not a defensive liability, and can give you 15 points a game on 47% shooting. That's the type of money he commands. But personally, I don't think that he deserves that type. I don't think he's worth that type of money. I think a guy like you mentioned earlier, Torrey Craig. I actually really like
that's a good
Torrey
deal,
Craig
yeah.
in that role. I mean, maybe I'm going a little too heavy on guys that are off-ball players and can't really create for themselves.
Wait,
but
what's the difference between Torrey Craig and Isaac Okoro?
Torrey
Craig
Craig
can
can
shoot the
shoot.
ball.
Yeah, Torrey Craig shot 44% from 3 this past season.
He did, didn't he? But there's, I don't know. It's like sometimes you see shots go in, and it's like the Knicks in 21.
Okay.
Like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't think Torrey Craig
You're
is
never
that,
letting
that kind
go.
of shooter.
You'll never let that
I don't
go.
think he is.
All right.
But it's the same idea. We all have just like mid small forwards. I had Torian Prince.
Oh, did he play for the Cavs?
Oh, I think he did.
Yeah, reunion.
It would be a reunion. I'm not sure if he
The
left or
reunion,
got
everyone
traded.
wants to see. I mean, everyone's
Yeah,
just been
Torian
clamoring
Prince.
for the Torian Prince
Hey
reunion.
man, he's a
All right.
college basketball
Yeah.
interview legend.
He has grabbed the ball. Next team out east we have the Detroit Pistons.
Detroit basketball. Sorry.
I think obviously they've been in rumors. If they can go get Cam Johnson, that'd be great for their team.
That was my pick.
But if they can't get Cam Johnson, another wing they could go get is Jalen McDaniels. Just a lengthy guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think this is the year to spend a bunch of your money if you're Detroit.
Yeah.
I think you got to let Cade and Jaden Ivey do their thing and see where they go as a duo. I think they have a solid team. The biggest thing, obviously, is shooting. They don't have a lick of shooting on their entire roster. So I think a guy for cheap, if you really aren't trying to make some sort of playoff push, because with the play-in now, almost any team can make the play-in. So unless you're really making a top 6 push, I don't think it's worth it to spend any money in the offseason. So I think Yuta Watanabe is probably a good cheap option who's not going to give you too much other than being a good shooter, but it gives them something that they need to space the floor and give room for guys like Cade and Ivy to drive to the basket.
But I mean, they need to spend money eventually.
They have to.
They do, but is this the year to do it? Where you've got
But let me ask
Kyrie
you
and
this.
not even James Harden anymore in free agency.
Cade Cunningham has 2 more years before he gets paid.
Yeah.
Ivy and Duran have 3.
Yeah.
Asar has 4. It's like they're not gonna.
You might
I
as
don't
well
know,
give a
unless
guy
you
a
think you're gonna
3-year
get
deal
someone
now.
next year, which is just the Pistons. I don't think are in that position.
I
They're
mean,
still
you're
a couple years
assuming,
away.
you're assuming all of those guys are going to command max extension type
think
money.
Cade will.
That's what I mean. They don't-
Cade will, but the other 3 guys, I'm not sure about yet.
But
Well,
that's
you
my
never
point.
know.
They don't have to like their roster in the future isn't going to make that much money. You might as well spend
You might as well.
Why
see
not?
him, yeah.
But why not spend next year? What are they spending for this year exactly?
a shooter
Cam
alongside
Johnson.
3 non-shooters.
Yeah. Why not get Yuta Watanabe then?
Because the difference between
Cam
Cam
Johnson is
a
better.
Cam
significantly
Johnson is
player.
better, but he's also we already talked about this. Cam Johnson at his age with his production level is going to command $20 million a year.
At least.
Do you want to give Cam Johnson $20 million a year right now? Do you want to make him?
I would.
Whatever.
If I'm in the Pistons position, I would.
But he doesn't really push him over. I don't even think they move past being a play-in team this year with Cam Johnson.
Maybe not this year. Maybe the year
But
after.
maybe they just paid $12 million a year to get Monty Williams. I think they're
mean,
trying to win. Cam.
they got it, yeah.
I
They're trying to win,
think
but
they are.
didn't they sign him to a long-term deal?
Yeah.
They did. Yeah.
So are they trying to win next year, or are they trying to win in the long term
Every
with
year,
their
probably.
core?
I mean, yeah. Well, Corby, you had Cam Johnson?
I had Cam Johnson.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the next team out east is the Indiana Pacers. So the team with another team with a lot of cap space. I think they could make a run at Draymond. I don't even think that's insane to
I
say.
mean, I had the exact
They could go
same
make a run at Draymond. I think they could entice a player like Jeremy Grant to get out of Portland if everything falls right for them. I think those are two gettable pieces for them.
Wait,
Draymond.
Draymond? They just drafted Draymond.
I mean, yeah, but like I guess, but like you might as
Would
well.
you rather have Draymond, like a
Imagine
Draymond
him
that can
learning
actually
from
contribute,
Draymond.
or a Draymond that isn't going to be able to contribute yet?
Houston's pretty good. That's all I'm gonna say. I think Jarrett's. I'm just really high on Jarrett Walker.
I like him. I like him too, but he's not going to come in and be an
like you
immediate
said,
Draymond type
you got to
player.
spend money.
See,
And
the
I think-
Pacers are going to want to make the play-in or playoffs this
Yeah.
year, right?
Yeah. See, the Pacers are a team I put in the position of being like, okay, go out and spend some money this year.
Listen, just let me list these guards: Halliburton, Buddy Hield, Mathurin kinda as a guard, Nemhard, Duarte. They have no point of attack defender. They need Dylan Brooks. This is a Dylan Brooks team. Indiana's a Dylan Brooks place. Man, this fit would be amazing in my opinion.
I'm not mad at it.
And they don't need more shoot. They have a lot of shooters right
I'm
now.
not mad
I
at
mean,
it.
see, I
You get
thought-
Dylan Brooks, and also you kind of. I don't want Dylan Brooks to create a Memphis culture in Indiana, but you can toughen them up a little bit.
You
So,
could.
I
I mean,
suppose, yeah.
it wouldn't hurt. I mean, another guy I looked at just a little bit. Obviously Draymond Green, and then Grant Williams too would kind of be the substitute Draymond if you want to go out and get a guy in free agency. But I think Kyle Kuzma is a guy
another
who
good
could,
one.
benefit a lot from being on the Pacers, and I think the Pacers could benefit a lot from having a guy
I
like
think
that.
ultimately
yeah.
that's where Kuz will end up, is in Indiana.
It makes sense, honestly.
it'll
That's
be
who's willing to
Sacramento.
pay him. Sacramento,
they just been in the rumors to want to pay him 2025.
We'll see, man. See,
I guess.
that's the Pacers. Next team out east, the reigning Eastern Conference champions, Miami Heat. I threw a little bit of sleepers in here. I think if they could sweep up a player like Nickeil Alexander-Walker, I think he'd thrive in like the Heat culture and the Heat development
Yeah.
system. And even if they don't want Nickeil Alexander-Walker, maybe they can go get a guy like maybe PJ Washington flies under everyone's radar in free agency and they get him for MLE. I think one of those two guys are going to be really helpful to a Miami Heat team that needs more depth desperately, especially with Gabe Vincent and Strus being free agents.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously priority is to try to re-sign those guys, but I don't know that they'll get either of them back, honestly. Even with the bird rights. So, honestly, this might sound a little odd. I think Dwight Powell fits this team really well off the bench because if you think about who Dwight Powell is, he's an athletic 4/5 who runs the floor, catches lobs. I mean, is he elite in any aspect of the game by any means? No. But if you look at how he's being used in Dallas, Luka Doncic isn't the type of guy to push the pace. Like, I mean, that's just not his game. His game is
Yeah.
to come down the floor, play in the half court. And sometimes that sets up lobs for him. But a Miami Heat team that likes to push the pace with young guys, you got Hero off the bench, you got Martin off the bench. Those guys are going to want to push the pace and run. You don't think Powell would benefit from being in a system like that? I mean, I think
No, it will. The name kind of threw me off. But yeah, you are right. They need a
You are
backup
right.
five.
they
Dwight Powell
need
will
the
take
size
low
too.
money.
And I don't know if Kevin Love is coming back for that
Yeah.
size. And at his age, I don't know that you would want him to be your backup five.
Yeah, they could also use a backup four. I actually do. I kind of had just them. I had a lazy answer of Vincent and Strus, just not signing them back. But I kind of do like that PJ Washington.
Yeah.
I think that he'd be perfect for the
He
Heat.
would, yeah. The next team out east we have is the Milwaukee Bucks.
Middleton. Just bring back Chris
Middleton should be their biggest
he-
priority.
If he doesn't, if they don't bring back Chris Middleton, they're screwed. Like
And,
that's it.
Brook Lopez. I mean,
If I speak, I'm in trouble.
Even
Brook
Brook Lopez. Bobby Portis can kind of play the role. I mean, obviously not
I
defensively.
guess, yeah. But if we're talking about
are you
other
gonna say?
options they can add in terms of new players, I think some players that could end up in Milwaukee are TJ Warren. And if TJ Warren isn't in there, I think Malik Beasley finds his way out to Milwaukee to play with Giannis.
Yep.
I think those are two players.
TG
that can
Warren,
do that.
Malik Beasley.
Yeah.
Guys I had in mind too.
Yeah.
I don't think the Bucks should bring back Chris Middleton.
Boom. That's when we play an alarm sound.
My personal opinion. Think about the type of money he's going to ask for in the offseason.
30.
I mean,
Yeah.
is it 30? Is
30
it
over 4.
35? Is it
45?
He was getting paid. I said 35.
Oh, I was like, dude, no way.
I mean, at some point, you have to make a decision as a franchise. Like, yeah, he's a good player. You don't know when you're going to find another player like him. just kind of like he's someone that they've been able to bring up through their system, and you want to hold on to a guy like that, but he's getting older. He's experienced injuries. He's slowing down clearly, and he's inconsistent.
My problem with that is that kind of breaks down their championship window a little bit.
does.
Like, why would Giannis want to stay if you're not gonna pay a guy like his second option? Why would he want to stay?
Like if you're on a championship team, there needs to be someone averaging 20.
I think they have a Rudy Gobert in Utah problem where they need to pay him rather than like another team wouldn't pay him that much, but they kind of have to pay him that much because that's just the situation the team is in.
Drew Holiday's your second scoring option.
That's not a recipe.
Never.
No, I know that, but I just don't think it's a long like. Look at the Milwaukee Bucks team, the roster constructed as is right now. Do you think that team is beating? Let's even just say they make it to the finals. Do you think they're beating the Denver Nuggets?
So you think the window's
I think
closed?
they could. You think the window is
I don't
closed?
think signing Middleton opens up the window any more than it already is.
Then with that being said, they free up $30 million in cap by doing that. Who should they sign?
Who should they sign? I mean, I don't think they should go out and get Kyrie because I don't think that's a feasible move either. I don't think that's viable for the long term. I mean,
Sometimes when you have Giannis, you can't think long term. You got to just think right now.
Giannis is a player like LeBron, where you can't think of 5 years down the line. You got to think we have one of the best players in the world. We're going to win a championship every year.
So why don't you try to restructure the team a little bit instead of trying to centralize on these 2 scorers, maybe 3 with Holiday? You try to build a team similar to what they had in 2020, where you have you have 2 guys, Giannis and Holiday, Holiday's going to be his second option, but not really a true second option. And then you have a supporting cast around him, shooters, different guys who can catch the ball off of back cuts. And I mean, Giannis has improved as a playmaker since 2022.
I think in today's NBA, you don't win a
2020,
championship with Drew
well.
Holiday being your second best player.
Yeah, wait. So why do you think they should go more in the direction of 2020 versus 2021 when 2020 you could literally build a wall and you just stopped Giannis?
But you can't do that.
The well will dry up with shooters eventually, Cam. You can't rely on
Giannis has
shooters
become a better
forever.
playmaker.
You can't rely on shooters forever to make all their shots. You can't.
You're right, but you
just
still
won't
have
happen.
Giannis. I mean, we're acting like Giannis doesn't exist.
I build a wall and you let all the shooters beat you, and if they beat you, they beat you.
For half of the playoff run, Middleton was the Batman. That's what the media said.
It's not even crazy.
And
Media always wants to create a narrative.
But for the first half, it was Middleton. Jesus.
Don't move the table, by the way.
Yeah, I'm just checking.
No, I mean, all I'm saying is that in 2021, we can also acknowledge that if the Nets were healthy, they're beating the Bucks that year.
Because that was a super team.
Yeah. And that there was also certain aspects where if Trae Young doesn't get hurt, you don't know what happens.
If the referee doesn't hurt Trae Young.
I mean, I know you've thought about that too. So you look at that Bucks team in 2021, they're not exactly this stacked, surefire championship team. There's a lot that had to go their way in the playoffs. Do I think they're still a good team? Yeah, I don't think it was like a Mickey Mouse run or whatever you want to call it. But I just don't think that signing a guy coming off a major injury who has proven to be inconsistent, who's going to continue to decline as he gets older, for $35 million a year is a viable move for the long term. And I don't even know if they are even more of a championship contender this year if they re-sign him as opposed to going out and getting several other guys like a Dante DiVincenzo or other guys that can fill certain spots on the roster.
All right.
So you want the shooters around Giannis to be Drew Holiday, Dante DiVincenzo, who's at the 3? Oh wait, no.
I mean, we also
Allen.
have Pat Connaughton, Grayson
Allen.
Allen,
He's
Brooke
good.
Lopez, Bobby Portis, all guys who shot
Shit
I think
looking
close
ugly.
to 40% from 3. It doesn't matter.
I'm not scared of that team. I'm a Hawks fan. And I'm not scared of that team. I'm sorry, Cam.
Cam, let's get to the point. Who do you have them signing this offseason? What did you say?
Personally, I think they should prioritize re-signing Lopez over Middleton.
Okay.
Because I think Lopez was their second best player this year.
All right, Corby, who did you have?
I'm Middleton. I can't stand.
Okay.
We can have the conversation. Like, I can't stand Brooke Lopez and this. Like, he's so overrated. I'm sorry. Like
It's not even crazy. And when he's a Laker, I'm gonna hate him. All right.
He was a Laker.
When he's a Laker again. Okay.
when he's a Laker that can shoot. He was not shooting at that time.
He was not.
Okay, but was he or was he not their second best player this year?
No.
No.
How is he not?
Because Middleton was good. I mean,
Middleton was hurt for the majority of the year.
So if you just want to say overall, then
I'm saying who contributed second most to their
Drew Holiday.
I guess Drew Holiday. In the regular season, Brook Lopez, sure. Once you get to the playoffs, just switch.
Yeah.
They played 5 games. They played 5 games in the playoffs.
He's not wrong. Damn.
Yeah, 20%.
And Jimmy Butler dropped
which
50. I love Drew Holiday, but Jimmy Butler had 57 on Drew Holiday.
So did KPJ.
Well,
Shut up.
I think that'll be fixed. You got to realize with Chris Middleton, their championship window can seem something, but now they have just maybe they have a chance of having a decent coach. They had Mike Budenholzer, who let's just be real. In the playoff series, he just wanted it to be over. He was grieving because I think his family lost. He didn't call a timeout with like 1 second left when it was a tie game about to be overtime. He had a timeout to advance the ball to win that game right there after already being up 10 with 6 minutes left. And he said, you know what, let's get this game over with, which is very weird because it was going into overtime. So why would that be the time to be lazy? I don't know. I think with a decent coach, Adrian Griffin, you have a chance at a bigger window because he's just not as stubborn. Mike Budenholzer is stubborn. I know. He was my coach. He is stubborn. I cannot stand the guy because he can get you wins. He can make Brook Lopez good in the regular season. And then come playoff time, just switch all. And then Brook Lopez is guarding Kyrie Irving in isolation. I just can't stand it.
The guy only has a championship where he coached a finals against the coach of the year that year.
Was Monty coach of the year?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, Scott Foster was coaching a finals game where Chris Paul had like a 10% win
He was coaching a finals game?
Or sorry, he was reffing, whatever.
Yeah. But okay, let me just pose a question then. Let's say the Bucks re-sign Middleton for 4 years, $30 million, right? That's where they put all of their money into.
The amateur NBA analyst has been suspended on Twitter.
Really?
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah, he knows too much. This got to be some Illuminati.
When he got kicked off Twitter.
He has been suspended on Twitter.
That's crazy.
But no, okay.
Well, he has a new account.
He does already?
He does. Let me hold on. Where is it? Yeah, here it is.
Okay,
His new account, it's temporarily restricted, but he tweeted out saying, they took down my old account. Don't know if it was Adam Silver, what was your shams, but that should give my leak some credibility. There is more to come soon.
I always just think like maybe someone's faking that account. You ever think about that?
Maybe it's just Woj there. He's just throwing shots at himself.
He's just
Why
bored.
would you do that?
He has no competition. He's bored.
It might be Windors, bro. I don't know.
Okay.
But go ahead.
So back to my point. Let's say they re-sign Middleton. 4 years, $30 million. He's what, 32 now? So he'll be 30. Is he 32 now?
He'd be 36 by the
He'll be 36 by the end of the contract. And he's going to decline because he's already shown signs of decline. He's not as good of a defender as he used to be. You've committed all that money to Middleton, Holiday, Giannis, right? You don't have much left to build a team. Giannis might be gone anyway. Like, if you don't win a championship this year and you choose to pour that much money into a declining second option, Giannis might be gone anyway.
So Giannis, I mean, okay, let's look at in the 2022 playoffs. Giannis balled. It wasn't his fault, whatever. This year, he got hurt and wasn't. I mean, he had like an amazing stat line at the end of the game, but he was the reason they lost versus the Heat. You can't blame, the Heat. You can't blame the team on that. That's Giannis' fault. Mm-hmm. I guess maybe next year if they lose and Giannis does his thing, then maybe. I just don't think he's that type of guy who would just request a trade after a couple of years when 4 years prior they won a championship.
So then why would he request a trade if they didn't re-sign Middleton? Because that was the argument. The argument is that if you can't wait with a guy like Giannis, and you guys said that Giannis would not stay in Milwaukee if you didn't re-sign Middleton. But you're saying he's not the type of guy to request a trade like that. Because
No, I didn't say that. I'm just saying you want... If you end up losing Giannis, I think you want the whole tenure to happen knowing that you tried your best. You brought back Middleton. You brought back Brook Lopez. And you're not, playing the cheap stake. Apparently I've just learned today, because I wasn't watching basketball back then, but the Heat... Pat Riley wanted LeBron to take a pay cut, and that's why he went back to the Cavs. I didn't know that. But you don't want something like that to happen where they leave because you want to be cheap, even if it's not toward Giannis. If it's toward his teammates.
I'm not saying be cheap. Giannis is 28 years old, right?
Yeah.
He's not 35 or 36. He's not LeBron. This isn't like the end of his career and the end of his potential to be a first option on a championship team. He's got at least 5 more years left.
But there's no guarantee that a free agent that's good enough as Middleton was in 21 would want to join Giannis. There's no guarantee of that.
Why wouldn't a free agent as good as Middleton want to join Giannis? You don't think Giannis has a draw as a top 3 player in the NBA?
Because these, I have to be the one to say it. These Europeans do not have the draw that Americans do. When's the last time that someone joined a European to make a super team? Or just join a team in free agency? No one.
I mean,
does,
Corby, there's been so many. There's so many limited super teams, though.
Yeah, and they're.
I mean, if Kyrie resigns with the Mavs, then what do you say to that?
But that's just him re-signing to a team. He's not joining some.
This has nothing to do with the Bucks, but Drake might be dropping.
Really? On Uzi's night?
It's Drake's night. If Drake drops, it's Drake's night.
I think that's more important than anything we were talking about. So.
Yeah. The New York Knicks. Where do they go from here? I think they need shooting desperately. I think a guy that can target is Seth Curry. It's a good shooter, I heard.
Yeah.
And obviously Dante DiVincenzo, Villanova guys. Those are two guys they should go after.
I had the same idea. I had Terrence Davis, just cheap guy who's going to shoot the ball.
Yeah.
I had Seth Curry too.
Makes sense over here.
From the longest section to the shortest section.
Yeah. Orlando Magic. Where do the Magic go? I mean,
I think they have too much of like each position where they don't have necessarily a need besides talent. And I don't even think you'd want to pay someone big. I just said for the vibes, bring back Franz's brother. Bring back Mo Wagner.
I guess. I had a player like Trey Lyles going to Orlando. I think that could provide someone valuable.
I had it for someone else, yeah.
I think they could make a run at a guy like Austin Reeves. I mean,
I mean, you just got Anthony Black. And you have Markel, you have Suggs, you have Cole Anthony.
Here's what I was thinking. I was looking at how much cap space they could potentially have, and looking at their young talent and looking at their core. I know it screams 2018 Boston, but I think adding Kyrie to this team automatically makes them a top 6 team in the East.
And they have the money for it, you're saying?
Yeah, they do. It potentially. So their projected cap space is $22.8 million. If they, re-sign who they think they're going to re-sign, bring back players, but the maximum potential cap space, if they don't bring back any of the players that they have a cap hold on, or any of their restricted free agents, nothing, is $58.39 million, which is more than enough to sign Kyrie.
That'd be decent. It's just I've never heard the link. Like I don't think
I never have either. But I think, but honestly, the more I think about it, the more I like it because it gives Kyrie an opportunity for the next. Yeah. I mean, I want to see him stay in Dallas, and I'll get to that, later. But I think I want to see how the Luka and Kyrie duo can work. But if he is going to go somewhere, I don't think Orlando's really a bad fit for him. And they have a lot of young pieces there. They just, like you said, their only disparity is talent. And if you put a superstar like that on the team, yeah, you could argue, it's going to take away shots from Banchero and it's going to take away shots from their other young players. But it's also going to offer them an opportunity to play competitive basketball, which is something that's almost more important for a young team instead of just perpetually tanking.
Yeah. Shortly after the amateur NBA analyst said Damian Lillard needs to make up his mind, Damian Lillard tweets, "Survived too many storms to be bothered by raindrops." Yeah. I don't know. That guy has sources, bro.
He does. Do we all go?
I think we all did.
I think so, yeah.
Next team in line is the Philadelphia 76ers. With James Harden being gone, I think that they could potentially throw an enticing offer at D'Angelo Russell, try and prime away from re-signing with the Lakers, and get him out there with Embiid. He's a good playmaker. He can kind of pretty much do everything Harden was doing, but not really. Wouldn't
it be a sign-in trade? They won't have money once they sign Harden. Or to trade Harden, I mean.
They might. Depends on who they get for him.
It depends. We'll see.
But if it's true that their links are with the Clippers and the Suns, two teams who are well over the salary cap, they're really not going to have any money left to sign anybody. So
yeah,
I don't think. I mean, Harden does not have a no trade clause, but both sides said they would work together to find a deal. Meaning, I'm assuming he's not getting traded to like Detroit or something like that for Philadelphia to clear cap.
Yeah,
I just went Paul Reed just because he's a cool backup. But really, they just need anyone. They need talent. Their benches.
I said Terrence Ross. He's kind of an instant offense guy that I think could be really beneficial for them off the bench.
Yeah.
Just a guy who can create his own shot. Not an exciting option by any means, but I've always liked him.
Yeah.
All right. We have two teams left out here in the East. Toronto Raptors, one of the more interesting teams this offseason. I think they do decide to let Fred VanVleet go. I think it's time for both of them to part ways with each other. And I know I just said this guy, but I think they should go for D'Angelo Russell. It's another point guard. I think he can provide just as much as Fred VanVleet does. If they don't like him, they want to go cheaper, go get someone like Dennis Schroeder.
I don't hate it, but why not go get Gabe Vincent and just
I
get
do
the
like Gabe
ultimate
Vincent
bargain
as well,
bin
yeah.
right there?
I do
I
like
mean,
him.
if he can perform half as well as he did in the playoffs, I think you found something that can really work, and he fits right into their system
He
too.
does.
He plays very similarly to Van Vliet.
Yeah.
So
But then here's another guy that I was thinking about. Unless you want to go first, because this is a little bit more of like an
I
aside.
was just gonna say
so-
we had all the same idea. I had Trey Jones, which
Okay.
I did not know he was that bad of a shooter. Maybe they don't want
He
him.
can't shoot, bro. He can't shoot. But I like Trey Jones.
I know. I don't know if you're gonna like this. I assume you're not gonna like this. But I think Russell Westbrook could fit really well in the Raptors.
I am not mad at it, but I am mad at it because that shooting, it might
Yeah,
kill
that
people.
shooting
It
is-
might kill people. But if you think of watching the Raptors play, I think they're the only team in the NBA where I can look at them and just be like, for as good as they are, like I'm talking about teams that are playoff caliber teams, they don't move me at all.
They don't.
Scotty Barnes doesn't move. I know he's good, but watching him play doesn't move me.
Yeah.
They just play with such a lack of energy, and I feel like they really need a guy, like an energy guy in there. And you could say, oh, why don't you just sign Pat Bev? But Westbrook, for whatever
I'm not mad at it.
detriments he has, he provides more from a playmaking perspective and a scoring perspective than any of the other so-called energy guys in free agency.
I'm
And I
not mad at
think
it.
plug him into that young core, light a fire under their ass.
Yeah.
Maybe they actually start something this year.
Mm-hmm.
I can't stand watching the Raptors, but Russell Westbrook on the team would actually make me tune into some
it'd be pretty
games.
fun.
Yeah, the Raptors, just the problem with me is, and the Westbrook wouldn't help this, but they need someone with a bag. They have no one with a bag. I'm sorry, you need like a couple players on each team that have
Pascal
a
has
bag,
a-
and
Pascal.
Gary-
Pascal's the closest.
He has the
Gary
push.
Trent's okay.
He has no bag.
No,
He shoots.
Fred VanVleet has a bag, but like he takes the
He's
worst
not-
shots.
he's not on the
He has-
team anymore.
80% athletes.
Delano Banton, I guess.
Fred VanVleet's an athlete.
No, not the D'Lo tweet.
Oh.
It's like, or what he said. He's like 80% of the NBA is just athletes.
Well, if Fred VanVleet's considered a hooper, I want athletes.
I mean, they have
No disrespect.
what's his
You're
name?
bad.
Kansas State.
Marquise Noel.
Marquise Noel.
Dude,
Grady
that guy's
Dick.
a
Hey
hooper.
man,
Grady
hey man,
Dick.
and Grady Dick too.
Dude, if Fred can make the NBA and be like close to an all-star, or maybe he was an all-star, Marquise Noel can. I'm sorry.
I love. I hope he succeeds.
He's
I
a
really
hooper, bro.
do.
He's a
He was
hooper,
so
bro.
fun. He was the most fun thing
He
about
was,
oh
watching
my
Raptors.
God.
He was a
Dude,
hooper.
Like,
He was a
Dude,
hooper.
I was
I
at
just-
the
I
volleyball
hate-
game watching. He's doing like behind the
He's doing
back
crazy
passes,
shit.
dude, I know
half
the
court.
no look lob from half court.
Crazy,
Like,
dude. Crazy.
I hate when hoopers like that fizzle out in the pros because it doesn't even feel like a talent issue.
Yeah.
Like I always go back to Isaiah Thomas, and it just feels like an issue of the NBA deciding that you don't fit in the league. Not
Yeah.
you. Like he had all the talent clearly, but it almost felt like the NBA was just like, you know what, 5'8", you just don't fit in the league. Like
Yeah.
we're just
Yeah.
not gonna give you a contract.
I love the NBA, but I just hope. I wish European ball was more accessible, like in the U.S. Because
Yeah.
like I would watch like there's some people who just suck in the NBA and are just really good in Europe, like
Yeah.
Jimmer Fredette. Dude, I wish he was good in the NBA.
he
He
was
looks
first Steph Curry.
the first step.
He really was, but he was from BYU, so I'm okay if he wasn't good.
But fuck Jimmer for that. The last team out east, the Washington Wizards. I have them targeting young talent since they're a rebuilding team. I think if they can go target guys like Kobe White or someone like a Cam Reddish, just go get some young players. And worst comes to worst, I mean, I know Kuzma doesn't want to stay, but you have money, so throw him $30 million and make him stay.
Yeah. Well, I think they have a lot of young point guards, a lot of young, just guards in general, a lot of young wings. They need some potential at the big positions. I have Christian Wood. I think he just gives some, like, I think Wood's kind of more of a 4, but you just need someone with potential.
We got a dime. We got a dropping dimes banger. We got an anonymous analyst banger about Al Horford.
What about
Really?
Horford?
Yeah. Reportedly, Boston are not done making moves. Al Horford is unhappy with the Porzingis acquisition. Couple teams interested, but no progress yet. Take that with a grain of salt because we have no idea who this is, but he has not missed so far.
Wait, so Al Horford is not happy?
Al Horford is unhappy with the Porzingis move.
I would
he's
be
trying to take a
too.
job.
I would be too.
I mean, yeah.
But
Back to the Wizards.
here's what I think with the Wizards. They ain't doing shit this year. Like, let's be honest.
yeah.
They ain't, like, Jordan Poole is going to have hopefully a better year than he's had in the past 2 seasons. And with the increased usage, he's going to score more. even if he shoots 30 times a game. I mean, he's going to score more. But I think that should be their focal point. I think developing Jordan Poole, because, the way their roster is structured, it seems as if they're saying, here you go, kid. Here's the keys. Let's see what you can do for a year. So I personally think, why not give him a mentor on the bench? Someone who can help him learn how to play the game.
Another Pat Bev.
No. Derrick Rose.
I'm not mad at it.
I'd like to see
But then
Derrick
again,
Rose
I think
on the
D
bench.
Rose wants to go play for. Either if he's not playing for Chicago, he's
I think
going to
Derrick Rose would rather be in a competitive situation.
I think if he's going to play for a team that's rebuilding, it's going to be the Bulls. And it's no other team.
But in a perfect world, that's who I think the Washington Wizards should go after.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it for the East.
That's the Eastern
Yeah,
Conference.
we're going to do the West.